Chess mania, chess lovers, how are you today? May we always be in good health, so that our minds are always fresh, to be able to improve tactics and strategies in chess games. Welcome back to Spectacular Chess Channel. This video will present popular types of traps that are often encountered in chess games. We must understand these types of traps so that we don't get trapped, or even we trap our opponents. If you get trapped, you will suffer the loss of pieces, and you may even checkmate in the shortest possible time. Okay, let's learn some of the traps that often found in everyday chess games and even in a tournament. Let's go, let's start. The first trap is one that often found in the King's Gambit opening. The game begins with e4, which black counters with e5. f4. Bishop c5. Knight f3, threatens pawn e5. d6, protects pawn e5. c3. Queen e7. d4, invites pawn exchange, and is accepted by being took by pawn e4. Pawn c3 takes d4. In this position, there is an unguarded white pawn e4 that looks free, but it is a poisoned pawn that white deliberately placed to trap black. Queen takes e4 pawn, check. King f7. Bishop b6, because it is still threatened by pawn d4. And here is the harvest of white's trap, the bishop attacks b5, check. c6, blocks the bishop's check. Rook e1, threatening the white queen. The black queen inevitably has to take the rook on e1 and is taken back by the white queen. Black lost its queen and was certain to lose the game to an evenly matched opponent. We return to the position when bishop b5. If the black king f8, then white resumes the attack with rook e1 threatening the queen. Queen f5, and white back makes the final attack by moving rook e1 to e8. Checkmate. The next trap is one that often found in the bishop opening. The game begins with e4, which black counters with e5. Bishop c4. Knight f6. Knight f3. Knight takes e4. Pawn e4 is a poisoned pawn that white set up to trap black. This is the beginning of the next traps. Knight c3, inviting a knight exchange. Exchange accepted, black knight takes white knight on c3. Pawn d2 takes black knight c3. d6, protecting the unguarded pawn e5. White castling in king's side. Bishop f4, pinning knight f3. This is a blunder move that will bring black to ruin. Knight e5, leaving the black diagonal, queen d1 was deliberately sacrificed. White accepted the queen's sacrifice, by being taken by bishop f4. Bishop takes f7, check. The black king has only one place to escape is e7. Next, it's white's ultimate attack, with the bishop to g5, checkmate. The next trap is one often found in Scandinavian defenses. The game begins with e4, which black counters with d5. Pawn takes d5. Queen takes d5. Knight c3, threatening black queen d5. Queen a6. b4, threatening the black queen, or rather sacrificed to the black queen. Pawn b4 is a poisoned pawn as bait for the next trap. The queen takes b4. Knight b5, threatening the check on c7. Queen retreat to a5, protecting c7. Bishop c4. c6, threatening knight b5. White ignores the pawn threat to his knight, instead launching an attack with bishop taking f7. The bishop is deliberately sacrificed, check. The king accepted the sacrifice by taking the f7 bishop. This was the next attack by white, queen h5, check. King f6. Bishop b2, check. King e6. Knight d4, check. At the same time discover the black queen by the white queen. King d7. And, freely, the white queen takes the unguarded black queen. White wins the queen and will then easily win matches with evenly matched opponents. The next trap is one that often found in the Petrov defense. The game begins with e4, which black counters with e5. Knight f3. Knight f6, Petrov's defense. Knight takes the undefended pawn e5. d6, threatening the knight. Knight retreat to d3. Knight takes unguarded pawn e4. Queen e2, pinning the knight d4. This is the first blunder white makes. Queen e7, protects the knight. Knight f4. Knight c6. Knight d5, threatening queen e7. Black moves knight to d4, threatening white queen at e2, each threatening the other's queen. Queen c5. This queen move is the next blunder, in fact it's a super blunder, which brings white to ruin. Knight c3, discover checked by the queen. White's knight takes black's queen on e7. And, this is black's final attack, with a knight to c2. Checkmate. The next trap is one that often found in King's Knight variation opening. White's first move is e4, which black counters with e5. Knight f3, the knight variation opening. Knight c6. Bishop c4. f5, it's sacrificed because it was not guarded. Pawn takes f5. e4. Queen e2, pinning pawn e4. Black queen e7, protects pawn e4. White knight retreats to the stable at g1. Knight f6. d3, invites pawn exchange. This move is a white blunder, which will lead to destruction. Black ignored the pawn exchange, even moving knight to d4, threatening the queen. This was a devastating attack by black because of white blunder. Queen d2. Knight c2, check. Queen takes knight c2. Pawn takes d3. This is black's ultimate move that kills white because of the discovery check by the queen, while pawn d4 threatens queen d2. If the white queen blocks the check, the black pawn at d3 will happily take the white queen e2. White loses the queen, and henceforth black will easily win the match with an equal opponent. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Thank you.